What if everything you've ever been told about getting happy is, well, wrong? What if trying to be positive all the time is the very thing that's making you miserable? We're about to dive into Mark Manson's book, and trust me, it's a total game changer that flips the entire self-help world on its head. And it all starts with two tiny but powerful words on a gravestone. So get this, the final message from Charles Bukowski, a guy who was a total mess for most of his life, we're talking alcoholism, gambling, one failure after another, was don't try. And then, somehow, he becomes this mega successful author who sells millions of books. You'd think his story is the classic never give up tale, right? But nope. The last piece of advice he leaves the world, literally carved in stone, is to give up. Yeah, I know. It sounds completely nuts, doesn't it? Totally backwards. And that paradox, that's the key to this whole book. So what on earth did Bukowski and in turn author Mark Manson really mean by don't try? Well, that's exactly what we're about to unpack. Let's get into it. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll crack open that whole don't try thing. Then we're going to talk about why happiness might not be what you think it is. After that, we'll look at why being average is actually awesome. And we'll wrap up with the big one, figuring out what's really worth giving a damn about. So here's the secret to Bukowski. His success wasn't about him desperately trying to become a winner. Not at all. It was actually the exact opposite. His genius was that he was totally okay with being a loser. He owned it. He wrote about all his screw-ups with this raw, brutal honesty that was just magnetic. He wasn't pretending to be someone he wasn't. And that realness is what people fell in love with. And this ties right into a trap that Manson calls the feedback loop from hell. And oh man, you're going to recognize this one. You ever get anxious about something and then you get angry at yourself for feeling anxious? Or you feel kind of down and then you feel guilty about it? That's it. That's the loop. You're feeling bad about feeling bad. It's this nasty little spiral that just pulls you down further and further. And you know what the worst part is? Our culture is practically built to feed this thing. Your Instagram feed is full of perfect people. Every guru is screaming, just be positive. And all it does is whisper in your ear that if you're not happy 24/7, you're broken. It's a total trap. Because let's be real, someone who is genuinely happy doesn't have to stand in a mirror and convince themselves. They just are. This all leads to this incredible idea from the philosopher Alan Watts. He called it the backwards law. And it's so simple but so powerful. The more you desperately chase feeling good, like trying to be rich or popular, the more you're reminding your brain that you aren't those things right now. It's a negative loop. But, and here's the magic, the moment you accept a negative thing, like, yep, I'm scared to give this speech, or wow, this workout sucks, that acceptance itself is, weirdly enough, a positive experience. Okay, so if chasing positive feelings is bad, what's the alternative? Well, this brings us to the next big idea. Happiness is a problem. I know, sounds weird, but Manson uses the story of the Buddha to explain it. This guy was a prince, had everything he could ever want, protected from all pain. And you know what? He was miserable. It wasn't until he went out and saw real human suffering that he actually found peace. The lesson here is simple but huge. You can't escape suffering. It's part of the deal. So here's the big shift in thinking. True happiness isn't about getting rid of all your problems. It's about finding problems you actually like solving. Because here's the thing. Problems never disappear. They just get upgraded. Think about it. Getting in shape means you trade the problem of being unhealthy for the problem of being sore after a workout. It's a better problem to have. Happiness isn't a destination. It's an activity. But of course, we're experts at messing this up for ourselves, usually in two main ways. First, there's denial. You know, just ignoring the problem, hoping it'll go away while you binge watch something. Second is the victim mentality. Oh, it's not my fault, it's my boss's fault, it's the universe's fault. Both of these might feel kind of good for a minute, but long term, they just leave you feeling stuck and totally powerless. All right, let's talk about something that might sting a little at first. We are drowning in a sea of exceptionalism. Everywhere you look, it's the billionaires, the superstars, the geniuses. We're constantly blasted with a highlight reel of the top 0.1%. And the result? Being average now feels like you failed. It's become this terrible thing to be, when in reality, it's what most of us are. And Manson argues that this got way worse because of the whole self-esteem movement. Remember that? We were all told we were special snowflakes, that we were all winners just for showing up. It sounds nice, but it created this massive sense of entitlement. People started to think they deserved incredible success without putting in the incredible effort. But let's just get real for a second and look at the numbers. Life is a bell curve, right? That means most people, by definition, are going to be average at most things. That's not depressing, it's just math. And to be a rock star at one thing, you probably have to be kind of mediocre at a bunch of other stuff. The reality is, most of life for most of us is lived right here in the big, comfortable middle. And you know what? That's actually incredibly freeing. The paradox is the people who do become exceptional often get there because they're obsessed with getting better, which means they start from a place of thinking they're not great yet. Once you accept that you're pretty much average, all that crazy pressure just melts away. You're free to just be and to actually work on the things you care about without this giant, paralyzing expectation of being the next big thing. Okay, so this is where we get to the core of the book, the art of not giving a fuck. And let's be super clear, this is not about being indifferent to everything. That's a huge mistake people make. An indifferent person is actually just scared and hiding. No, this is about choosing. It's about consciously deciding what few things in your life are so important that they actually deserve your fucks. So, Manson proposes a new question for you to ask yourself. Forget asking, what do I want to enjoy? That's easy. Everybody wants to enjoy success and love. The real question, the one that will actually define your life, is this. What pain are you willing to sustain? What struggle are you ready to sign up for? Because whatever you want in life, it has a price. And that price is struggle.
And man, there's this perfect story in the book that shows exactly how this works. First, you've got Dave Mustaine. Gets kicked out of Metallica, he starts his own legendary band, Megadeth. Sells millions of albums. Huge success, right? But in his own head, he felt like a failure because his metric for success was be bigger than Metallica. Then you have Pete Best, the original drummer for the Beatles, gets kicked out right before Beatlemania. Crushing. But eventually, he found a different value, a happy family life. And years later, he said he was happier than he ever would have been as a Beatle. Same rejection, totally different values, totally different lives.
Okay, so this all leads to the big practical question, right? If everything depends on what we choose to care about, how do we choose the right things? How do we pick good values? Well, here's how it works. It's like a chain reaction. It all starts with your values, what you believe is important. Those values create the metrics you use to judge your life. And those metrics, they define your problems. So if you want a better life, you need better problems. And to get better problems, you've got to start at the very beginning. You've got to fix your values. And Manson makes this super simple. He splits values into good and bad. Good values are things you control. They're internal. Think honesty, creativity, self-respect. You can start doing those right now. Bad values? They're the opposite. They depend on other people or things you can't control. Stuff like being popular, needing to be right all the time, or feeling good 24/7. Chasing those is just a recipe for a miserable life. And just like that, we're right back where we started. It all comes back to that backwards law. The whole point is to stop chasing that fleeting high of feeling good. It's a trap. The real path? Pick good, solid internal values. Choose the struggles that come with them. Embrace the fact that it won't always feel good. And paradoxically, by accepting that negative stuff, you'll build a life that is actually, genuinely positive. So in the end, it all boils down to this one massive question. Your time on this planet is limited. You only have so much energy, so many fucks to give. So the question is, what are you going to spend them on? What truly matters? No, look, we've only just scratched the surface here. If any of this resonated with you, you have to read this book. It's hilarious, it's insightful, and it might just change your whole perspective. You can find a link to grab your own copy right in the description below. Seriously, go check it out. And hey, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that subscribe button to join us here at MindSwitch Books. We'd love to have you. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.
If you like this video, consider subscribing to the channel and let me know in the comments what other content you'd like to see here. The link to purchase this book is below in the description. Thank you, and see you next time.